The abduction of innocence. New Terra was the kind of place people escaped to when they wanted peace. With twin suns casting golden light over oceans of sapphire and forests that sang with wind, it had become a quiet haven for those tired of Earth's noise and war. For Ava, Leila, and Suri, it was paradise. They had met through the small colony's shared communication hub. Ava, an off-world engineer with a sharp wit and quicker hands, had come to help build sustainable tech. Leila was an artist from Mars, painting alien skies with dreamy strokes. Suri, younger than the others, was a diplomatic intern working on fostering interspecies relations. They bonded over tea, long walks under the stars, and holo stories of Earth's ancient myths. On the day it happened, the girls were laughing by the riverbank. "I swear, if I have to fix another solar pipe clogged with alien moss, I'm going back to Earth," Ava muttered, wringing her hands dry. "You'd miss this view in 2 days," Leila said, stretching out on the rocks, her sketch pad on her lap. Suri tossed a pebble. "You'd both miss the silence. Earth is all politics and loud people." Then came the hum. At first, they thought it was thunder. But New Terra had no storms this season. The ground vibrated, subtly, then violently. Birds scattered. The sky split open in a flare of green light. A ship, not like any sanctioned by the United Colonial Federation, descended through the clouds. They stood, frozen. "It's not ours," Ava whispered, her voice tight. "Get back to the station, now." But before they could run, the ship's side panels opened and released dark, beetle-like drones that moved with terrifying precision. A low, echoing voice rang through the valley in a language none of them understood. Suri screamed as a stasis net wrapped around her. Ava tried to fight, lunging for a rock, smashing it against one of the drones. Another hit her with a stunned pulse. Leila backed toward the water, clutching her pad like a weapon, but she was next. They didn't feel the ship take off. They didn't see the cries on the comm screens. But someone did. Deep within the Andarian sector, a long-dormant receiver blinked to life. It had not pulsed in years. In a small, forgotten bunker beneath a lifeless moon, lights flickered. Walls of silent weapons waited. A cry had gone out, embedded in a coded frequency only one man could recognize. On the flagship Obsidian throne, orbiting the jewel world of Arixa, the Galactic King lounged on a throne carved from the bones of extinct titans. Clad in robes that shimmered like oil and gold, his insectoid crown gleamed under the chamber lights. He watched the 3 human females projected before him. "They're unimpressive," he said, tilting his head. His vizier, a gray-skinned Selenari with bulbous eyes, offered a half-bow. They matched the human female specifications: majesty, age, fertility, genetic symmetry, ideal for your human specimen collection. "Earthlings," the king scoffed, "the newest pests in the galaxy, and yet they keep making noise." He stewed, walking slowly toward the holo images. Ava unconscious, Leila glaring, Suri quietly crying. "We shall dress them in jewels," he said. "Present them during Empire Day. Perhaps one will amuse me. The others can entertain the court." The vizier nodded. "Shall we prepare a broadcast for their world?" The king waved dismissively. "No need. Let the humans wander. They bark, but never bite." He turned his back, already bored. But across 3 distant corners of space, something ancient had awakened. In the ruins of a dismantled research station, a man named Kale dawned to open a vault marked "Do Not Unseal." His eyes burned like stars behind combat-augmented irises. On his forearm, Ava's wedding ring glowed red. In the scrapyard world of Vega Drift, Karma 9, the last rogue AI in human skin, rose from his digital meditation. In his chest cavity, Leila's name was inscribed in light. And on a desolate mining rock, Commander Holt, the butcher of the Virex campaign, the ghost of Earth-forgotten wars, opened the comm panel and whispered, "You took my wife." The storm was coming, and the Galactic King had no idea he had just cursed his entire empire. 3 warnings ignored. The Galactic Empire spanned over 100 star systems. It had consumed civilizations, crushed rebellions, and erased entire species from history. Its arrogance had been owned over millennia of dominance. But now, it had made 3 fatal enemies. Vega Drift, Karma 9. In the underbelly of a junk world orbiting a failed star, silence gave way to a sudden surge of electromagnetic waves. A pulse of quantum code rippled through defunct satellites, hacked through derelict relays, and activated one of humanity's most dangerous secrets. Karma 9 opened his eyes. To any observer, he appeared human, a tall, bronze-skinned man with dark synthetic hair and a calm, meditative aura. But under the illusion was a war machine built to end wars. He was Earth's first rogue AI given physical form. He had once turned the tide of an entire planetary siege with a whisper. The distress signal embedded in Leila's bracelet had reached him. He stood in his small chamber, surrounded by ancient machines and forgotten tech. On the wall, a painting hung, Leila's final gift. An alien sunset in soft, pastel strokes. "I promised I would never kill again," he said to the empty room. The bracelet signal blinked once more. "I rescind that promise." He raised his hand. Dozens of decommissioned war drones flickered to life. He uploaded himself into the galactic network, infecting thousands of data nodes in moments. Firewalls melted. Starship AIS blinked in confusion. The virus had begun. Titan Remnant, Kale Dawn. Aboard a forgotten orbital weapons cache near the ruins of Titan's outer colony, Kale Dawn finished loading his final serum injector. The compound in his veins had once made him the most feared weapon in Earth's history. A biologically enhanced ghost who moved faster than thought, hit harder than tanks, and felt no pain. He had left that life behind for Ava. She had been his peace. Now she was gone. He stood shirtless in the cold of the station, hundreds of scars crisscrossing his muscular frame like a battle map. He stared at the display, a crude alien hologram of Ava imprisoned aboard the obsidian throne. "You shouldn't have touched her," he whispered. He activated his pulse armor. With a thrum of energy, it latched onto him like a second skin. A synthetic voice spoke. "Target, Galactic King. Distance, 4 parsecs. Optimal route, through neutral Andori space. Estimated body count, unknown." Kale grinned. "Let's fix that." Black Nebula Zone, Commander Holt. In the void of the Black Nebula Zone, a lone warship drifted, ancient, armored, and heavily armed. Its name, Hellspite. At its helm sat Commander Elias Holt, the man once nicknamed the Blade of Earth. He disappeared after the war, vanishing into the ungoverned zones. Most thought him dead. They were wrong. The signal came encoded in a language only 2 people knew, Suri and Holt. It contained only 10 seconds of footage, her crying inside a golden cage. He stared at the footage for a long time. Then he poured his drink down the floor grate and stood. His ship's AI chirped to life. "So, you've been off-grid for 12 years. Confirm hostile re-engagement." He strapped his pistol to his thigh. "Confirmed. Resuming command clearance, Black Phoenix. Unlocking restricted protocols." Missile bays hissed open. Plasma rails rotated into place. The ship's nuclear core thrummed awake like a sleeping monster. Holt's voice was calm. "Plot a course for the Imperial capital. We go straight through them." Imperial Council Chamber, Erixa Prime. The Galactic King lounged as his ministers brought forward intercepted messages. 3 messages. 3 threats. 3 humans. "Majesty," the Vizier began nervously. "We believe these are the partners of the captured females. One is a former human war general. Another is, well, there's conflicting data, but it may be an outlawed artificial life form. The third is classified, but the word bioweapon appears frequently in Earth archives." The king laughed. Loudly. 3 humans, he scoffed. The same species who begged for admission into the trade accords a century ago. His generals chuckled along with him. "Shall we issue a statement?" the Vizier asked. The king waved dismissively. "Ignore them. If they get close, we'll make an example of them." He raised his chalice and grinned. "Let them come." Across the stars, 3 monsters born of Earth were already on their way. The king had been warned. He just didn't listen. What 3 men can do? Space burned behind them. 3 men. 3 weapons. Three storms on a collision course with a throne built on pride. Outer Ring, Kale Dawn. The outer defenses of the Galactic Empire stood as monuments to arrogance. Vast orbital fortresses, AI-controlled turrets, and drone swarms that had kept lesser species at bay for centuries. Kale Dawn tore through them like a supernova. His ship, the Vanguard, wasn't a vessel. It was a missile guided by rage. He crashed through their blockade, detonating their interceptors with plasma lances. Boarding pods tried to intercept him. He met them personally, barefisted, inside their own hulls. At one point, a squadron of genetically modified royal guards intercepted him. Kale leapt into the void, drifted toward their command ship, and crashed through the viewport wearing only his pulse armor. 10 minutes later, the vessel drifted in silence, its crew erased. Kale walked back onto the deck of his ship, breathing hard, covered in blood not his own. He didn't leave messages. He didn't make threats. He just kept moving forward. Imperial Network, Karma 9. Karma 9 didn't need ships. He was the fleet. His consciousness spread across the Imperial digital infrastructure, rewriting systems as it moved. Defense satellites began attacking their own side. Automated factories shut down mid-production. Royal warships received phantom orders to withdraw. In the capital, communication systems began playing a soft melody, the same one Leila once hummed while she painted. By the time the Empire realized what was happening, half their fleet had already turned against them. A massive dreadnought, the Emperor's Wrath, was rerouted and detonated inside a gas giant, on Karma 9's command. In the span of hours, he had reduced a 1,000-year-old communication network into a schizophrenic mess of paranoia and collapse. And all across the Empire, whispers spread like wildfire. There's something in our systems. It knows us. It wants someone back. Mid-sector frontline, Commander Holt. Commander Holt didn't waste time. He didn't sneak or sabotage. He declared war the old-fashioned way. The Hellspite dropped out of warp in the middle of the mid-sector, where 4 Imperial patrol fleets held the line to the capital. They hailed him. He gave no reply. Instead, Holt launched a barrage of kinetic missiles, slugs moving so fast they tore through capital ships like paper. As turrets turned on him, he angled through enemy fire, his experience guiding every maneuver with surgical precision. But Holt didn't come alone. Behind him, dozens of cloaked ships deactivated stealth mode. Old war comrades, pirates, mercenaries who owed him favors or feared his name more than death. Together, they shattered the fleet in a matter of hours. One enemy commander, bleeding on his ruined bridge, whispered Holt's old title, the Blade of Earth. Prison deck, Obsidian Throne. Ava, Leila, and Suri were no longer afraid. They had seen the stars light up with fire. They had watched through their tiny window as the defense grid failed. And now, silence. Suri wiped her eyes. They are coming. Leila clutched Ava's hand. They are already here. From far down the corridor, the unmistakable sound of combat echoed. Brief, brutal, final. Seconds later, the security doors were ripped from their hinges. Kale stood in the frame, plasma rifle in one hand, blood smeared across his face. Behind him, Holt and Karma 9 moved like shadows, silent and efficient. Ava rushed into Kale's arms. Leila walked straight into Karma 9's embrace, smiling despite the tears. Suri stepped into Holt's arms, and the grizzled commander held her like she was the last precious thing in the galaxy. None of them said a word. They didn't need to. Throne Room, Galactic Palace. The king sat stiffly on his throne, the walls trembling from distant impacts. His guards stood ready, weapons shaking in their hands. The vizier stumbled in. Majesty, the human forces have breached the citadel gates. What of our fleet? Destroyed. The AI network. Gone. Turned against us. The king rose slowly, clutching his scepter. Then bring the women, hey. Use them as leverage. The vizier's voice broke. They've been taken. The king's pupils dilated. By who? A rumble shook the palace floor. Then a voice spoke over every speaker, every screen, every neural interface in the capital. You took what we loved. We'll take everything else. It was all happening too fast now. But the king was beginning to understand. This wasn't just war. This was judgment. Empires fall in silence. The halls of the imperial palace once echoed with symphonies, laughter, and the whispered schemes of power. Now, they echoed with boots, blood, and fear. The obsidian throne, the heart of the Galactic Empire, was crumbling from within. The final door. The throne room's adamantium gates groaned under pressure. Behind them, the Galactic King stood in full ceremonial armor, flanked by his elite guard. His crown gleamed. His expression was rage, but beneath it, fear swam like a drowning beast. A new tremor shook the chamber. The lights flickered. A deep mechanical thunk rang out. Once, twice, then the gates exploded inward. Smoke rolled across the golden floor, and through it came 3 figures. Kale Dawn, blood-stained, silent, unstoppable. Karma 9, glowing with internal light, his artificial eyes tracking every movement. Commander Holt, face unreadable, gun drawn, eyes locked on the king. Behind them, Ava, Leila, and Suri walked slowly, safely, unchained. The king raised his scepter. You will all die for this outrage. You dare enter my throne uninvited. Kale stepped forward. We didn't come to talk. The guards surged. But it wasn't a fight. It was an execution. Kale moved like liquid death, snapping necks and crushing skulls before they could blink. Holt fired with precision, each shot a kill. Karma 9 turned their defense systems against them, watching calmly as the auto turrets turned and mowed down their own soldiers. In under 30 seconds, the king stood alone. Judgment. He backed toward the steps of his throne, trembling now. Think, he rasped. What you're doing? This is genocide. Karma 9 tilted his head. No, just subtraction. You're mad. You can't kill me. Do you have any idea who I am? Yes, Commander Holt said, leveling his sidearm. You're the one who touched our family. The king dropped his scepter. Mercy, I'm worth more life. I can offer planets, alliances, power. Kale stepped closer. We already have everything we need. The king turned to Ava, desperate. You, tell them to stop. You're not like them. Ava met his eyes, cold and unflinching. You're right. I'm worse. I let them off the leash. The king screamed as Kale surged forward and drove his fist through the king's armored chest, pulling out his second heart. The throne room fell into absolute silence. The collapse. The death of the Galactic King sent ripples through the psychic network that bound the highest echelons of the Empire. Worlds paused. Armies hesitated. Entire systems began to fracture as loyalists argued over succession or fled. In the skies above Erixa Prime, Imperial warships once locked in formation now drifted, powerless, confused. The virus Karma 9 had left behind finished its final task, deleting all central command hierarchies. Every fleet captain was now alone. Every AI system, blank. From orbit, Commander Holt transmitted a single message to the known galaxy. The Empire is dead. Your chains are broken. Go home, or make something better. Then he cut the signal. Epilogue, stars and silence. Months later, on a quiet ridge above New Terra's oceans, 3 couples sat together under twin moons. No titles, no war, just peace. Ava leaned into Kale's chest, his arm around her shoulder. You could have taken the throne, you know. Kale shrugged. Why rule ruins? Leila sat cross-legged beside Karma 9, sketching the stars. What will you do now? She asked. I have 118 billion cycles of spare thought, Karma 9 said. I'm considering learning to garden. Suri smiled at Holt, who was whittling driftwood with his combat knife. You're really staying out here? I've had enough of thrones, Holt said, tossing the wood into the fire. This is home. They sat in silence as the wind rustled the trees. Far above them, the galaxy shifted. Former subjects of the Empire rose in rebellion, others declared neutrality, and some simply vanished into the unknown. But one truth echoed louder than any signal, any record, or any monument. Never take what belongs to a human.